500,000 miles. Let that sink in. That's not a figure from some fantasy car ad or a clickbait headline. It's real, it's rolling, and in some cases, it's parked in driveways just like yours. I'm not talking about rare collector cars or million-dollar restorations. I'm talking about everyday vehicles. Cars built in an era when durability was a badge of honor, and planned obsolescence was still a dirty phrase. Just last month, I picked up one of these machines for $4,200. It has over 500,000 miles, and the engine still runs smoother than cars half its age. No ticking, no warning lights, no drama, just solid, honest performance. It reminded me of something we used to take for granted. A car you could trust. The kind of vehicle that didn't just get you from point A to point B, but could carry your kids to school, your tools to work, and your family across the country without asking for much in return. That kind of car still exists, but you won't find it on a showroom floor. You'll find it tucked away, on classifieds, in old driveways, or with someone who doesn't know just how special it is. 3 weeks ago, I met John out in Arizona. He drives a Lexus LS 400 every day. It's sitting at 478,000 miles and hasn't skipped a beat. Then there's Sarah in Michigan. Her Mercedes W123 diesel just passed 525,000 miles. And a few days ago, I saw a Toyota Land Cruiser still climbing trails with 487,000 miles on the clock. None of them paid over $5,000, and none of them regret it. In today's world where cars seem to age faster than phones, these vehicles are the exception. They were built before software updates, electronic steering, and 17 sensors just to change a tire. They were built to last, not lease. And if you know where to look, you can still find them. If you are new here, welcome to pistonVerse, where every piston has a purpose and every build defines your drive. And in this video, I'll walk you through the specific cars that reach $500K and beyond, where you can still buy them for under $5K, and how to keep them running for another decade or more. This isn't just about cheap transportation. It's about trust. It's about engineering with heart. And maybe it's about remembering that some things were simply built better. Let's get started. You see, once I started paying attention to this hidden market, something clicked. I came across a listing for a 2019 Toyota Corolla, 85,000 miles. Price? $18,995. And people are actually paying that. For what? Basic transportation, packed with plastic panels, and designed to hit 100K before the warning lights start piling up. But then I realized, while most buyers are chasing low-mileage cars at high prices, they're ignoring the vehicles that were actually built to last. Not just last a while, but go the distance. 300K, 400K, 500,000 miles. These aren't cheap beaters. They're engineering icons from a time when automakers were in a different kind of race. A race to build something that earned loyalty, not just lease renewals. A race where Toyota spent over $1 billion to design the Lexus LS 400, where Mercedes-Benz still built sedans with military-grade quality. And Honda? It wasn't trying to sell gadgets. It was building engines that refused to quit. Not long ago, I walked into a specialty dealer's showroom. Tucked between newer trade-ins was a 2001 Lexus LS 430 with 320,000 miles. Most people wouldn't even glance at it.
But the dealer leaned in and said, "That one, it'll outlast the 3-year-old SUVs out front and cost a tenth to maintain."
He was right, because what's happening right now in the used car market is strange. People are overpaying for relatively new cars with limited track records, while true long-haul legends are being quietly passed over. And that brings us to a simple but powerful truth. Mileage is not the enemy. Build quality is what counts. So let me ask you, would you rather drop $19,000 on a Corolla that might get you to 150K, or invest $4,000 in a Lexus that's already proven it can double, or even triple that? One was built to meet quotas. The other was built to beat the world's best. And right now, because the market is obsessed with age and mileage, you can pick up these legendary machines for less than the cost of a down payment on a new car. I even spoke with a veteran mechanic, 30 years in the business. He told me something I didn't expect. I'm seeing more problems in modern 3-year-old vehicles than I do in well-kept cars from the 1990s. Why? Because today's cars are built with thin margins and thick software. They're smart, sleek, efficient. But when something goes wrong, you need a laptop, a subscription, and a specialist just to check a fuse. Meanwhile, these older vehicles, you pop the hood, and everything's right there. Built to be serviced, built to last, built with pride. And if you know what to look for, you can still find them at the right price, with the right story. And maybe, if you're lucky, but let me be clear, not all old cars are created equal. You can't just go out and buy any high-mileage vehicle and expect it to last forever. Some were built to a different standard. Others were built to be replaced every few years. The truth is, there's a short list of models that were engineered with such excessive tolerances, they're only getting started at 200,000 miles. And I'm about to walk you through them. The specific models, where to find them, and most importantly, how to make sure you're getting one of the good ones. Let's start with the undisputed king of longevity. I'm talking about the Toyota Land Cruiser 80 series, built between 1990 and 1997. This isn't just an SUV. It's one of the most overbuilt vehicles to ever roll onto American roads. Last month, I found one in Colorado with 487,000 miles, still running on the original engine. The owner, Mike, bought it 5 years ago, with 380,000 miles, for just $3,800. Most people would have called him crazy. But Mike knew something most folks don't. These Land Cruisers were built to survive 25-plus years of abuse, often with no major mechanical failures. Why? Because Toyota wasn't building them for soccer moms. They were building them for Australian mining companies, who needed a vehicle that could run non-stop through deserts, rivers, and rock quarries without breaking down. The result? An SUV that's practically unkillable. Its inline-six engine is so stout, it routinely clears 500,000 miles with nothing but regular oil changes and basic upkeep. And the crazy part? No one wants them. While collectors chase newer Land Cruisers and dealers jack up prices on modern SUVs, these mechanical legends are hiding on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace for less than $5K. Just last week, I helped a subscriber pick up a 1991 model with 275,000 miles for $4,200. The service records? 3 inches thick, and that engine? Smooth as ever. For most vehicles, 275K is the end of the road, but for a Land Cruiser, that's just the break-in period. Now let's talk about a car that changed the luxury market forever. The Lexus LS 400, specifically the later years, 1995 to 1997. This car wasn't just engineered, it was obsessively perfected. Toyota spent over $1 billion developing the LS 400, not to sell cars, but to send a message. We can build a better luxury car than Mercedes. And they did. The heart of the LS 400 is the 1UZ-Phi V8, an engine so refined and overbuilt, it was tested for over 1.5 million miles before it ever made it into a production car. Let that sink in. 1.5 million miles in testing. Most cars today aren't even designed to hit 200K. I recently documented a 1996 LS 400 in Florida with 425,000 miles. Sarah, the owner, bought it 3 years ago for $3,500. Today, the interior still looks brand new. The engine uses zero oil between changes. The power windows, climate control, everything works perfectly. But here's what makes these cars truly magical. They don't just survive. They still drive like luxury. You don't hear the road. You don't feel every crack in the pavement. You glide. Even at 400K plus miles, a well-maintained LS 400 feels better than most modern sedans with 80K. It's not just about lasting long. It's about how gracefully it ages. Take the Mercedes-Benz W123 diesel. Specifically, the 300D with the legendary OM 617 engine. 2 months ago in Wisconsin, I met Peter. His 1983 300D just crossed 600,000 miles. Not a typo, 600,000. The paint has faded, the seats are worn, but the car itself? Still a tank, still his daily driver. He paid less than $3,000 for it 6 years ago, and it's never quit. This wasn't a car built for speed or flash, it was built for permanence. The OM 617 engine was designed to run for millions of miles. There are cases, proven cases, of these engines surpassing 1 million without a rebuild. And it wasn't just the engine. Everything about the W123 was overbuilt. The body panels are so thick, modern cars feel like tin cans beside them. The suspension was rugged enough to tackle African dirt roads. The materials inside were chosen to last decades. Collectors today fight over gas-powered Mercedes classics. Meanwhile, these diesels, the true survivors, remain undervalued. You can still find a well-kept W123 diesel for under $4,000. Just last week I helped a viewer buy a 1982 300D with full service records dating back to 1990. Price? $3,200. Stories like this make you rethink what reliability really means. And if that kind of perspective matters to you, consider subscribing. Because every week we uncover cars that prove longevity isn't just a dream, it's still out there if you know where to look. And speaking of overlooked survivors, let's move from German engineering to something far more humble. The 1990s Honda Accord with the F22 four-cylinder. Not glamorous, not a badge to brag about. But durable? Absolutely. I met Tom in Oregon. His 1994 Accord has 485,000 original miles. Original engine, original transmission. He bought it with 300,000 already on the clock for $1,800. Since then, all he's done is oil changes, timing belts, and routine maintenance. That's it. Honda built this car with the same philosophy they used for their motorcycles. Keep it simple, make it last. And the F22 engine might just be the most reliable four-cylinder ever made. 400,000 miles on the original head gasket isn't rare. And that's the beauty of these Accords. They weren't built to impress a crowd. They were built to serve a family, to carry kids to school, to get to work every single day, and keep doing it long after most cars were sent to the scrapyard. I've seen countless examples with 300, 400, even 500,000 miles still on the road, still reliable. Not because their owners poured money into endless repairs, but because Honda engineered them to be simple, strong, and honest. That's something we rarely see in cars today. Modern vehicles pack in tech, screens, and features, but too often, those features become the first things to fail. These old Accords remind us that sometimes less really is more. And here's the surprising part. Despite their reputation, these cars don't cost a fortune. In fact, they're some of the best values you can find. They're practically giving them away. While people are out there paying $15,000 for used Civics with 100,000 miles, you can still find these unkillable Accords for $2,000 to $3,000 all day long. Just last month, I came across a one-owner 1996 Accord with 225,000 miles and full service history listed for $2,400. Now I know what you might be thinking. These are old cars. Won't they break down all the time? That's the biggest myth out there. Most people assume that age equals unreliability, but that couldn't be further from the truth. These vehicles were built before planned obsolescence, back when engineers prioritized longevity over luxury trim packages, back when cars were built to be repaired, not replaced. In fact, I recently ran the numbers. I compared the maintenance costs of a 2020 Honda Accord with a 1994 Accord over a 5-year period. The results? The owner of the newer car spent more on repairs and service in 2 years than the 1994 model spent in 5. Modern cars might have more screens, buttons, and smart features, but they're also far more complicated, with far more things to fail. These older vehicles? They're simple, solid, and built like bricks. Now that you know what to look for, let's talk about how to find them. Because here's the reality. For every bulletproof, high-mileage gem, there are a dozen neglected rust buckets you should run from. So how do you tell the difference? I follow what I call the service history gold standard. If the maintenance records don't stack thicker than your smartphone, walk away. Just last week, I passed on a gorgeous Mercedes 300D because the seller had no history. 2 days later, I found an uglier one, with a binder of records going back to 1985. Guess which one I told my client to buy? Here's how I found that $4,200 Toyota Land Cruiser I mentioned earlier. I didn't just search Land Cruiser like everyone else. Instead, I used terms like one-owner Land Cruiser, dealer maintained, full service records, Toyota Land Cruiser Garage kept. These bring up totally different listings than the typical used SUV search. And here's another insider trick. Winter is the best time to buy, especially in the northern states. Nobody wants a high-mileage car when there's snow on the ground. That 600k-mile Mercedes 300D I mentioned, it sold for almost half price because it was listed in January. My 3-step process to evaluate any high-mileage car. 1. Look at the owner, not just the car. The best high-mileage vehicles come from people who loved them. If the seller lights up when talking about their maintenance routine, that's your green flag. If they can't remember their last oil change, walk away. Listen for mechanical honesty. When you start the car, don't just listen for knocking. Listen for hesitation. Does the seller try to talk over the engine noise, or do they let it idle proudly? Inspect the details. Is the steering wheel worn, but the rest of the car solid? Are the seats clean, or do they feel like an old couch at a mechanic shop? A clean interior and smooth idle will tell you more about the car's life than a shiny paint job ever will. Let's be real. A 400,000-mile car shouldn't look brand new. If it does, be suspicious. The best high-mileage cars, they have character, a few scuffs, maybe a torn seat, but under the hood, they're bulletproof. Always check the little things. Power windows, AC, even the radio. These aren't deal breakers, but they give you insight into the previous owner's mindset. If someone couldn't be bothered to fix a broken switch, what else did they neglect? And here's my golden rule. Never buy the first high-mileage car you find. These cars are out there, and the best ones come from patient buyers. Just last month, I helped a subscriber score a 1995 Lexus LS 400 with 280,000 miles for just $3,800. The owner was moving overseas, needed a quick sale. It came with a full service history, recent timing belt, and drove like it had 80K on it. Finding one of these cars is half the battle. The real secret? Making it last forever. Let me show you how. Take Mike's 487,000-mile Land Cruiser. Every 3,000 miles, like clockwork, he changes the oil. Not 5,000, not 7,500, 3,000. Every time. Excessive? Maybe. But that engine still runs smoother than most new SUVs. See, most people wait until something breaks. But these cars were built for preventive maintenance, not wait-and-pray ownership. That Mercedes with 600,000 miles. The owner changes fluids most people don't even know exist. I once analyzed transmission fluid from 2 Lexus LS 400s. One was changed every 30k miles, the other, never touched. The difference was shocking. Here's the irony. Maintaining these cars is cheaper than maintaining many new ones. That 1994 Accord with the binder of receipts? The owner averaged $600/year in maintenance. Try doing that with a 2023 anything. Even better, these cars were designed to be worked on. You don't need a computer science degree. You just need basic tools, a little know-how, and the right checklist. Here's the truth. These cars are out there, but the good ones go fast. That LS 400 James bought? It was listed for less than 24 hours. That's why I created something special. Every week, I send out alerts when I find one of these 500k-mile legends. Cars that are still on the road, still running strong, still selling for under $5K. So if you want to stop overpaying for cars that fall apart by 100k miles and start driving one that was engineered to last a lifetime, here's what to do. Subscribe to the channel. Tap the bell so you get the alerts when these cars pop up. Drop a comment below with the one car you'd love to own forever, and I'll include tips for finding it in the next video.